Okay, welcome everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Whitney Warr. I'm so blessed to be a Diamond Ambassador here with my incredible double diamond friend Brooke Hemingway and Emily Minear, an amazing Emerald Ambassador and one of my very best friends. And we are here to share some information with you today. And I wanted to make sure that we're very clear on why we decided to share this topic with you, okay? We are going to do a little bit of comparison just out of confidence and gratitude for what we have here with Plexus. We've received a lot of questions lately, and we know it's been a hot topic. So we wanted to just come to you with some facts and information just so you can be well informed and educated and understand the difference of what we really have here and the value in it. Whether that's just something that interests you to know or whether you've received questions yourself, knowledge is power. And we really are so passionate about this topic. We wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to just get this out there and share with as many people as possible. So Brooke and Emily are going to be sharing some in-depth information with you, but I wanted to start by just sharing a little bit about my story and why this topic is so passionate to me and so close to my heart. Many of you have heard my story before, and you know the situation that I was in that led me on a journey of research to find an opportunity that basically met everything I could come up with that, was possible to live my dreams. And in that research, I discovered Plexus. And there are certain parts of that story that make me so passionate about what Plexus has to offer here that's different than what you can find anywhere else. And there's a part of my story in particular that I'm going to share today that I haven't shared in the past that just even helps me feel more gratitude for what we have here and just how special this opportunity is. So if you haven't heard my story before, there's a YouTube video out there that I shared in depth on the research that I did and the experience that I had. It's called Why This Company? I Did the Research for You. So you can go search that out yourself if you want to hear more in detail and in depth. But long story short, for the sake of time, I'm just going to share with you that the details of the research that I did and what I was looking for, and just to be able to lay everything out side by side and see what's available just makes me so excited about what Plexus offers. And it literally changed my world. It changed everything for me and my family. It took us from a position of desperate financial illness and a very likely possibility of losing our home to a place of freedom and abundance and being able to free my husband from a very stressful and dangerous job and allow him to live just in a place of peace and gratitude. And just this opportunity is so special to my heart. And so that's part of the reason why this topic has been just really very much on my heart lately. And I've, just in conversation with Brooke and Emily, we decided this could be some really helpful training that we could share. So the compensation plans can be really, really difficult to understand. And sometimes we may see something that seems really flashy and appealing, but when you really do the research and peel back the layers, things may not always be as they appear. And I want to make it very clear that we're not coming from a place of bashing any company or any person by any means. There's nothing negative that we want to come from this. It's completely information and facts based, and it's just a place of gratitude and confidence in what we have, so you can feel good about that yourself. Okay, so I actually sat down and made out a list. You know, when I found myself in that position, I sat down and I wrote out a physical list. I still have it to this day, where I said, if I could dream up an opportunity for me and my family, what would that look like? And I wrote down, I just like poured my heart out on the paper. And I said, if I could have an opportunity where I had unlimited potential, where I could really make a difference in people's lives and enjoy what I do, where I could earn a 6-figure income my first year and, you know, unlimited beyond that, where I could be rewarded graciously for the efforts that I put in, where if this could be something that was mobile, that I could take with me, that was so flexible, that would work in where I chose to fit it in, and I could still make my family my first priority, where something that could provide us a lifestyle that would not be possible otherwise. And I went in depth. I mean, I wanted to find something that was very ethical, that we weren't assigned any territories, or, you know, I felt that there were no inventory, deliveries, like all these things that you may see with other opportunities. Really, to be the captain of my own destiny is what I was looking for. And I want you to know, there's a part of my journey that I haven't shared before that makes what Plexus offers even more appealing. And it goes hand in hand with what we're going to talk about today. And so I want to share with you that I had an experience with a former company. Many of you know I was with a direct sales jewelry company that's no longer in business called Leah Sophia. Emily was there as well with me. I was actually a member of Emily's team. And because of that opportunity, it really gave me an understanding and a vision of the brilliance of network marketing. It provided a lot of blessings for me and my family, but it also had some really difficult aspects that came with it. That, like I said, was a blessing in my life, but parts of that compensation and the way that it worked really created some difficulty in my life. And one of them was my very best friend in the whole wide world. I mean, we bought houses next door to each other. Our kids were like siblings to each other. We were family. This friend of mine is the one that introduced me to Leah Sophia, that opportunity. And we joined together, we linked arms, we were so excited about what we had, and I ran with that. And I worked my tail off, and I had some big success quickly. But unfortunately, because of the way that compensation plan was structured, which you'll find in many instances, this created a really sticky situation for my best friend, because as my upline, I was putting her paycheck in danger by my efforts and my success. And it actually came to a point where it ruined our friendship for several years. It really, really put a wedge in our relationship, because I loved this person and I was working hard, and it was so hurtful to me that I couldn't receive support in my efforts from her. But at the same time, I understood that my success was a threat to her. And how sad is it that that ruined such an incredible friendship and really caused so much strain on that relationship for years before we were able to work that out. She ended up quitting because my success put her in a position where I was about to pass her up, which I didn't want to do. There was nothing in my intentions that wanted to like destroy her success, but just the facts of the compensation laid it out to where if I chose to continue forward, I was going to pass her up and she was going to lose my whole entire organization. And you wouldn't believe how common this is in different companies and compensation plans. So that's just one aspect that, to me, makes me even more grateful. You know, the more I'm here, the more I have a chance to see upcoming different opportunities and compare, the more I just realize what we have here is so, so incredibly unlike anything else that's out there, and so ethical. And I'm just grateful for that. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about my journey. And now I'm going to turn it over to Brooke and Emily, and we're just going to share facts, you guys. We want to leave some time for Q&A at the end. If you do have questions, there is no question that, you know, is off limits. We want to be very, very clear. We want to encourage you to do your own research. If you, you know, if this is something that interests you, or you have questions about, or you've been asked about, that's why we're here. We want to give you the facts and inform you well, because that will give you power in your own confidence in where you're at, or, you know, whatever you choose to do, and in guiding others as well. So I believe I'm going to turn it over to Emily first. Is that cool? Or Brooke? Yeah?
Yeah. Yes. And I think also, before we do that, I got these girls into this mess because I approached them, and I am a seeker of truth. I love to know the truth. I love to gather knowledge, and I believe that knowledge is power. I believe that there are a lot of things out there, like Whitney said, that can look really shiny and amazing and awesome and can be tempting, but I like to dig a little bit deeper. And I know if something looks way too good to be true, it probably is way too good to be true. And I feel like one of the problems in network marketing is we get afraid. We have scarcity. We're like, oh my gosh, like, I'm afraid if people find out about other compensation plans, they might want to go somewhere else. I actually don't feel that way at all, because I've done the research too. And I love network marketing. Like, I support people in network marketing across the board. And so, like Whitney said, this is not a bash, but I feel like one of the problems in network marketing that is across the board is that a lot of compensation plans are unclear. People feel tricked. They think they're getting into something that is just going to give them this ridiculous benefit for very little effort. And they look at this shiny object and they think, ooh, that's amazing. And they walk out of that experience feeling so wronged, so just angry and upset. They've given maybe years of their lives. They've bought a ton of inventory. The compensation plan looked so good. And because of trickery or just gotchas or clauses or all of this other stuff, they walk away from network marketing with a negative experience. And that breaks my heart, because I love this industry. And so if anybody from another company is watching, or a founder from another company is watching, or whatever, I want to raise the bar at network marketing. I want there to be transparency. I love our compensation plan because it is clear. It's on one page. I can read it. I can understand it. Now, in the very beginning, could I totally understand it? No, because I had never done network marketing. Whitney had, I hadn't. But it wasn't so complicated that I couldn't look at it and understand it. I didn't need spreadsheets. I didn't need to dig. I didn't need to, like, it was all out there in the public. And I feel like that is the future of network marketing. I feel that that's what people want, and that is the thing that's going to elevate network marketing. And so I'm excited for Emily to share really just some facts and some differences so that you are aware, and also to understand that the majority of compensation plans are designed in this manner. So Emily, take it away.
I can't unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Brooke. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to I was going to lead out with what Brooke just said, in that I specifically pulled up Q Science's compensation plan to compare to Plexus, not because we want to nitpick them or pull apart, it just because it's helpful. I think compensation plans are hard to understand, like Brooke said, unless you've been in it and you have some context and some real life examples of how your team looks and all of that. It's really hard to wrap your mind around all of it. And so I wanted an example to show specific parts, but like she said, it's not that Q has a bad compensation plan, or that like Whitney and I, the company we were with before, Leah Sophia, they had an awesome compensation plan, but they're most plans out there are very similar to how those are structured, and we are structured very, very differently. And I want to highlight two distinct advantages that we have that most of the industry does not have, or I don't know actually of another plan that has these advantages. And when you really dive in and start building a business, maybe in the starting stages, there's not a whole lot of difference. But as you grow, you really can get into situations where you're losing a lot of the pay that you've worked hard to build and grow and earn. And I was in a situation similar to Whitney in my last company where it killed relationships, because my attention was forced. If I wanted to keep my paycheck that I built, I was with that company for 10 years. I was forced to pay attention to certain parts of my team to build, to have a balance so I could keep what I'd worked to build everywhere else. And so it kills relationships when you're reduced to numbers and strategically placing so that you have a certain balance. You can't just focus on everyone that you love and care about and celebrate their success. You just don't have time, because all of your attention is forced into maintaining this balance that is required to access all of your pay. So that's the first thing that I want to talk about, is that balance. So specifically in Q's plan, and this is the same with most plans, you get paid based on your smaller leg. In Plexus, we have a primary leg. That's your person that has the biggest team underneath them. And then everybody outside of that is your outside leg. So I'm just going to refer to it as primary and outside legs. In Q, your primary leg, or your biggest team coming from one person, the biggest portion can only be 40 to 60% of your total volume. So to put that in Plexus terms, let's say you're gold and you have 100 points. In Q, only 400 of those points could come from your biggest leg, and the rest of your team would have to balance that with 600 points. 1,000.
You meant 40 and 60, yeah?
I'm just using tens because it's super easy to do the math with tens. So if you have 1,000 points, 400 can come from your big leg, 600 has to come from the rest. If you're getting 1,000 points from your big leg and you only have 200 in your smaller leg, you only get paid on a very small portion of that 1,000 that's coming from your big leg. So you work to help this person build and grow, and they take off and they're doing amazing. And then all of a sudden, as soon as they surpass whatever the rest of your team is doing, you all of a sudden don't get paid anymore. And it's really hard when you put your heart and soul into working and growing to see that growth, and one, not be able to access it, and two, not have time to help and support that person because you're so busy over here trying to grow your other leg. So that balance in the beginning doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like if we're talking 100 points, 40 and 60, it's not a big deal to get 60 points to balance that out. But when you get to 1,000 points, or emerald, 1,500 points, or diamond, 4,500 points, at diamond, that balance is 1,800, 2,700. If we were using our language, So when I think about when I ranked emerald, my biggest leg was exactly 50% of my team. So I had 750 points coming from her team, and I had 750 coming from everyone else, which I thought was pretty awesome, that I had this person that came in and took off and was running and doing amazing, and I was helping her. And then I was able to balance that out with the rest of the people that maybe were kind of struggling but working a little bit slower. I thought that was amazing. Under Q's and most every other compensation plan out there, I would have only been able to count 600. When I hit 1,500 points, I would have only been able to count 600 of those points that I was getting from her to be able to rank. And so because I was getting 750, I just lost 150 points. And now instead of getting paid on 1,500 and ranking emerald, I would have only been getting paid on 1,350 and I wouldn't have been emerald. And so So that's the first part. The second part is that balance is so hard to maintain. And like I said, when you get a runner, like you think at the beginning, oh, I can do that. And if you have a perfect picture and you have perfect balance, then your pay could be amazing. But most people don't. And this is the fact. I didn't have it with my previous company either. I had a really strong leg that was more than half of my team. I worked really hard outside of her, and I had a really amazing team outside of her, but she was more than 40%. So this is something to pay attention to, because like I said in the beginning, it might not really affect you a lot, but the bigger you get, the more it's going to affect you, and the harder that balance is going to be to have happen. So, so that's something to keep in mind. The second,
I think too, like one of the things, because also when I looked at the compensation plan, I was like, oh, well, that looks kind of shiny. But I also thought of the same thing when I went Emerald. Emily Gibson was half of my points. She actually is still half of my points. I have a ton of points, but she's about half, maybe 50 to 55% of my points. And so that would really affect me in my business. And in Plexus, it's about 20%. Yes. Which is very low. Like your outside leg requirement is much, much lower.
Yes. Thank you, Brooke. That's awesome. And I'll say this too, it is about 20% depending on the level, but once you hit diamond, that outside leg requirement of the 4,500 points that it requires to be diamond, 1,125 has to come from your outside leg. But here's the thing. So about 80-20. Here's the thing is, as you grow, once you hit diamond, that outside leg requirement does not get bigger. So you could grow, like say you have Brooke under you. I have no idea how many points you have, but I'm just going to throw out a 10,000 number because that's a nice even number to do math with, right? So let's say you have a Brooke Hemingway under you and her team grows to 10,000 points. All you have to do to stay a diamond and access pay on all of those points is keep that 1,125 in your outside leg. In a comp plan like Hugh's or so many others out there.
This is so huge.
This is mind-boggling. So let's say you have someone like Brooke that you're getting 10,000 points from her team. To balance that out, because you could only count 40%, to balance and access all 10,000 of that, you would need, I think the number is like 15,000 points outside of her to get paid on all of her work. And so you can see how like impossible that feels to get the rest of your team caught up. Say with Plexus, you only have to have 1,125. 1,125 to 15,000 is an insane difference. That if in Plexus you have that exact scenario, you would be accessing all that pay, and somewhere else you're going to be limited to this tiny portion of that pay.
And can I add something here too, Emily? Because I know the way it was with Leah Sophia and some other compensation plans, if you have someone in your organization that surpasses you, then you actually lose that whole organization. They are no longer yours. That's how it was with Leah Sophia where we were at. And that's where the fear came from, and the constant like, oh my gosh, like that scarcity of, I want them to be successful, but then, oh my gosh, if they're so successful, then I'm going to lose their whole entire organization. And that's a really, really terrifying thought, and it really ruins relationships.
It really is.
It creates animosity. It creates animosity and jealousy and scarcity, which if I could say the number one problem in network marketing is scarcity. And this is one of the reasons why, and one of the reasons why Plexus decided to make their compensation plan different, and why we have one Plexus. Because you will see people in different teams, people within their own team, always working, cheering people on. I work with my 2s, my 3s, my 4s, my 5s, my 6s. I want them all to succeed, because when they succeed, I succeed. I could be passed up and it wouldn't matter. And so this concept of one Plexus and really cheering each other on, providing free training, not having any scarcity around other people succeeding. And you might think, oh, I would never feel that way. But those feelings of jealousy and not feeling like you're enough and scarcity, they pop up for the very best of people. And in a compensation plan where you're forced to create so many points outside, that person that helps you with your initial success, you basically kind of have to drop them and just focus on everybody but them. And it's like a competition. And that's something we don't have.
It's so true, and that's exactly what my experience was. So that's the first advantage that we have that is so unique in the industry. The second one is that we get paid on our full volume of points. So if you have 1,500 points, you get paid on 1,500 points. If you have 1,700 points, you get paid on 1,700 points. So in Q's plan, you get paid by kind of like a block. So when you hit a certain amount, you get paid a set paycheck until you reach the next amount. So it's like 1,500 in sales, 4,500 in sales, 10,000 in sales, 15,000 in sales, 20,000, 50,000, 100,000. So as you're growing and building and your sales are growing above and beyond that mark, you're not getting paid anymore. You don't get a raise until you hit the next level. So let's put that in Plexus terms. If we plugged Plexus into that, I'll use points because that's what we're familiar with instead of volume. But if I'm working from Senior Ruby to Emerald, I've got 750 points. I'm super excited. I get paid on those 750 points. I build to 900. Woohoo! I got a raise because I'm getting paid on 900 points. Every month, let's say I add 100 points and I get 100 extra points worth of pay, right? Whereas with Q, I would only be getting paid on 750 points until I hit the 1,500. When you hit that 1,500, you get a bonus that kind of comes back and helps make up for all that pay you missed for all that time. But the second thing is, not only do you have to wait to get a raise until you hit that next level, but once you hit that level, you have to maintain that for 3 consecutive months before you unlock your bonus. So let's say it takes you 6 months or a year to get from Senior Ruby to Emerald. You're stuck at 750 points pay for all of that time. And then you hit it maybe 2 months and then you dip just below it, 1,450 1 month. Nope, you're not getting your raise yet. You're still stuck at 750. So this is like, they'll sell it to you as, we know exactly what you're going to get paid every month at each level. But I'd rather earn my raises every month as I go and as I build. And I know that there are months that I don't hit my Emerald numbers, but I don't have to hit those numbers for a certain time or wait to access that pay again. As soon as I hit them again, I get that paycheck again, and I get paid for all my points in between. So this is another really big advantage that I see that we have that a lot of companies don't. And so here's where it gets really powerful, I think, is when you take these two things and you combine them. This is where you can get in trouble, because let's use this example of working from Senior Ruby to Emerald again. Not only with Q are you not getting paid on all the little increases as you go, but let's say you finally get there. You finally hit your 1,500 points and you're so excited. You worked so hard. Now we're going to go back to the first one, and that is balance. Of those 1,500 points, only 600 can come from your primary leg, your biggest leg, which means everybody outside of that has to equal 900. So let's say you finally get that 1,500 points, but say 900 of them are coming from your primary. Well, now you've got to work to add the 300 to your other leg to balance it out. So you're still waiting. And I'll tell you, this is where I got stuck in my previous company. They were a little bit different. We had to, it wasn't a certain volume we had to balance, but we had to balance a certain number of leaders. So in order to be Emerald, it didn't matter if I had 50 golds and 5 rubies and a bazillion silvers or whatever. It didn't matter. I could have had 4,500 points or the equivalent of that. And I did. But I had to promote the equivalent of 2 Senior Rubies to take that rank up and access the next level of pay. And so that's hard to do. It's this, to maintain that balance and to have, when you have a runner and someone taking off and doing great, to balance that out somewhere else. So when you put those two things together, the balance and not getting the raise till you get to the next level, it can really create, like we talked about before, a really huge disadvantage in that you're not getting paid on all of your work. And as soon as that balance shifts and changes, you lose pay again. So it's like they said earlier, you're really forced. It's a scarcity thing because it's a very real scarcity. I mean, the comp plan is built on scarcity. And so you're forced to have that, because if you don't play into that game, you don't get paid. Doesn't matter how hard you work. And that's what I love about Plexus, is that we have this culture here where we can pour love and time and effort into everyone that is building and wants this. Yes, we do have a small outside leg requirement, but the ratio of that is it's basically there to say, yeah, I'm working outside of this person, right? So
yes, yeah. It's to take away the luck of just like signing up one person and benefiting from that one person. So there is a small outside leg component, but compared to other compensation plans, it's very smart. As you were talking about your previous experience, I was thinking about how that must have made you feel like your hands were tied. Like you're doing everything you possibly can. You poured literally 10 years into a company, 10 years. And what I feel that kind of a compensation plan does is it rewards gaming the system, and there's also more luck, and it doesn't reward the hard work. It doesn't put people first in this type of a system. It's kind of like a game. You stack people. It's all about numbers, not about relationships. And that is another thing that gives network marketing a bad name. People don't like to be treated like objects. They don't like to be treated like it's a game. And I almost just want to vomit when I hear people talk about network marketing like it's a game. That is one of the biggest problems in the profession. I am committed to elevating the profession. And when we treat it like a profession, and in a true profession, you will be rewarded for the work that you do. You're rewarded for supporting other people. If you think of any successful business out there, the top leaders are the people that pour into developing their downlines. Not from a place of scarcity, but those companies that rise to the top, just like Plexus is doing, they are based on this common good for the company and helping everybody underneath you succeed. And that's what we do. So as we treat network marketing as less of a game and more of a profession, we elevate the profession. And that's really what we do at Plexus. I think there are two things to really look at when you're looking at a compensation plan. Is it simple enough that the average person could figure it out? Yes, our compensation plan is very simple. When you look at that one-page sheet, you could figure it out. The second thing is the financial security of the company. Are you with a debt-free company? Are you with a company that's saving for the future? Are you with a company that is rewarding across the board? Actually, three things. The third thing is, are you seeing people regularly reach those top ranks? Regularly reaching those top ranks. If you're not, there's a problem. There's a game in the system. There are uh-ohs, gotchas, things in the compensation plan if you're not seeing that. Whitney, do you have the numbers for how many new jewels we had in our company last year? Because I feel like this is mind-boggling. Like, it's one thing to be able to hit those first couple ranks in any company, and I think that's great, and that's where a lot of companies will kind of lure you away, is it's actually pretty easy in any compensation plan, whether it's to go silver or gold, to do that pretty early. But beyond that, are we seeing massive numbers of rank ups? And our company is different in that way. So what numbers do you have for us?
Okay, so I'm just going to do senior ruby and above. I actually don't have the number for new diamonds, but I'm trying to get that. If I do get it, then I will add it. Before we get off the call, I did want to get that number for you. But senior rubies, 670 new senior rubies in the past year with Plexus. You guys, that is 670 people that are making life-changing income right there. Rubies, 850. Senior gold, 2,500. A senior gold income is life-changing income, and that creates possibilities and options for people. And 2,500 new senior golds just in the past year. Golds, 7,700. Sorry, I said senior ruby and above, but here's the list that I have. 52,000 silver ambassadors. And we know the average income for silver is about $500 a month. That can make all the difference in a family being able to live comfortably or be able to put groceries on the table. That's huge. 52,000 people just in the past year. 87 new emeralds. 87, guys, that's six-figure income. That is really, really incredible. An income that most people they'll never have the opportunity to work towards in a regular 9-to-5 job career. 17 new sapphires in the past year. And I'll do my best to get that diamond number for you if anyone happens to know.
I remember just even if we look at 1 month in April, we had 44 new emeralds and we had about 20 new diamonds. So that can kind of put things in perspective. That was just 1 month. This is not the norm in other companies to have a compensation plan. And that's because you only have to have about 20% outside of your primary leg, and you are rewarded for the work you do. And so those, I feel like, are the 3 things to really look at that set things apart. Emily, was there anything else you wanted to add as far as differences or anything else to kind of wrap that up?
I think just to touch on what Whitney just said, those numbers are incredible to me because, like I said, I was with this company before for 10 years and I was so grateful. I was very successful and I made amazing money, like ridiculous money. But when we were recognized at conference, our top level, there were only like 17 top level leaders in the entire company, the 10 years, and they were like the same people the whole 10 years. Because you couldn't, like, I had 3 times the volume needed to reach that rank, but because my balance wasn't perfect, I couldn't get it. And no one else could either, because you can't, it's near impossible to have that perfect balance. It seems like not that big of a deal. When you look at the comp plan and you're like, oh, I can do that 40, 60, I'll just strategically place or build or work, but it's just not, that is not the reality. And so I'm so grateful for, just so grateful for what we have here, because until you have context outside of it to understand how amazing it is, you just don't understand how amazing it is.
Right. And Whitney was sharing, I think the thing that really shows that is the number of people that we have that advance to that 6-figure income every single year, over 100 people that advance into those income ranks. And when you look at other companies, you're not necessarily going to see that. And so I didn't have a previous experience, but there was something inside of me that knew this was incredible. And I just want to share with you, I have 3 jewel incomes. Okay. So aside from the fact that we have a generous compensation plan that only requires us to have about 20% in outside leg points, and we are paid on all of our points as long as we satisfy that 20%, right? In addition to that, I can create a Brooke 2.0. I can create a Thomas 2.0. I can go to the top of this company effectively 4 times, and I will do that to show people that it's possible. When you guys see all of these people ranking up to jewel ranks, it's inspiring. It creates energy. We have this energy in this company because people see, oh, she did it, I can do it. Oh, last month, 44 people did it, I can do it. That's what it does for my team. And to be able to have 3 jewel incomes, in another company like a Q or companies that have a compensation plan like this, I would not qualify every single month. But I have actually very balanced organizations. In all 3 of my organizations, at least half of my points come from an outside leg. But I would probably barely miss this. I would say anywhere between 40 and 60% comes from outside legs depending on the month. So that would create for me instability. Am I going to make it this month? Am I not going to make it this month? How much am I going to have to play the system or game the system to try to make this? I can't even imagine the stress every month, but here I am with 3 jewel incomes. I don't even have to think about that, because I have easily my 20% outside. I get to instead focus on my leaders, focus on loving them, focus on seeing them succeed. And I would be more than happy if somebody could pass me up. And so I feel like we are just so incredibly blessed with this compensation plan. And I hope that you take this just as information, because I have always been somebody that has an eternal perspective, a long-term perspective. when I see something that makes sense, I just can feel it in my heart. When I see something that I'm like, that looks way too good to be true, there's something inside of me that tells me, probably not. And the thing that happens in life is we see something, it's shiny, it's attractive, it's all those things. But wherever you go, there you are. Wherever you go, if you're struggling with things in leadership, in recruiting, in how to reach out to people, those are things that if you can work on those skills, you can absolutely crush your Plexus business. And I have always felt like I have to take personal accountability for, am I getting a little bit better every single day? Because using this compensation plan and being able to even look at me as an example of how you can maximize this compensation plan by getting better personally, by pouring into people, there is no limit. There is no trick. There is no got you. The sky is the limit for me, and the sky is the limit for you. And we're actually out of time. We have to end by noon. I'm sure you guys maybe have some questions, but hopefully we answered most of your questions, and we help you to feel more comfortable and inspired to get out there, improve yourselves, work your business, take full advantage of the Plexus compensation plan, and understand how truly special it is. Thanks, Whitney and Emily.
Thank you, Brooke. Thank you so much. And I know Brooke has to go. I don't know if you can hang around for a minute, Emily, but maybe we could stay on to answer questions if anyone has any.
I have to actually use my Zoom link.
Oh, okay. Well, then we have to go. So if you do have questions, then we will share this recording. Just tag, your sponsor or, whoever can help you answer those questions. But I hope that this was really empowering information for you. I hope that you understand that where we're coming from is a place of confidence and gratitude. It's not a place of, oh my gosh, like we're nervous about this. We got to show people that this is something we're afraid of, but we have
not nervous at all.
Grateful for. And so, yeah, thanks for joining us. Recording will be shared. Thanks for your time. And everyone, we are so blessed. If we're blessed, be a blessing.
Bye guys.
Everyone.